Hey, co-creators, you're listening to the Life by Design podcast, where we're talking about going from default living to intentional living, taking a closer look at the way you approach life so that you can establish a life that you love to live. My name is Natalie Vrill, and I'm thrilled to be part of your journey to a more fulfilling life. Welcome to episode number 6. Today we are talking about self-compassion, how to work with yourself, not against yourself. We will explore the transformative power of kindness towards ourselves. Self-compassion is the practice of treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a dear friend. Yet many of us struggle with being compassionate towards ourselves, often being our own harshest critics. But what if we could change that narrative? What if we could learn to befriend ourselves and embrace our imperfections with love and acceptance? In today's episode, we will explore the importance of self-compassion, its benefits, and practical strategies to cultivate in our daily lives. Let's discover the profound impact that self-compassion can have on our own well-being. So self-compassion starts with acknowledging our humanity. Recognizing that we are perfectly imperfect, that it's perfectly okay to be imperfect. For many years, I was excluding the word perfection from my vocabulary. I felt that perfect triggered a lot of things inside of me. And last year, I decided to use it as a lead word in my boxing class. And I was contemplating the concept of perfect for 1 hour, and all of a sudden I saw it in a new light. My definition of perfect today is to meet reality where it's at. So it's not about being flawless, but it's about working with what you have instead of arguing with reality. And that is also my take on self-compassion, meeting yourself where you are, embracing your flaws, failures, vulnerabilities with kindness, empathy, and compassion, rather than judgment and criticism. We tend to believe that if we accept what is, and if we don't like what is, it will stay forever, which is why we push so hard against it, condemning it as wrong and forcing ourselves to move away from what we don't want, when really the opposite is true. When you accept reality, when you work with what you have instead of against it, things start to change. And when you're making the journey to an improved version fun and more interesting, you will engage more and you will stay on that path longer. It's always easier to feel inspired and move towards than to feel fear and move away from. And that brings us to 2 different types of motivation. The first one is fear-based and the second one is love-based. Fear-based means pushing against what we don't want. It's drain our energy. It makes us feel exhausted. It can, however, give a result in the short run, but never feels good in the long term. Love, in terms of motivation, however, is the only sustainable strategy, as it re-energizing you. It focuses on moving towards what you want. It also puts your whole body at ease, which relaxes your brain, makes it feel safe, and therefore give you access to higher thinking, provides you with new creative way of seeing the world, and you can see opportunities in terms of moving towards what it is that you want. Research has shown that people that are self-compassion have a tendency to experience more happiness, calmness, and ease in their life. They have greater resilience in the face of challenges and setbacks. So why is self-compassion so powerful? So first and foremost, emotional resilience. By treating ourselves with compassion, we also build emotional resilience that helps us navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease. It improves our mental health, as self-compassion reduces the level of anxiety, stress, and depression. It also enhances our self-worth, because when we practice self-compassion, we cultivate a sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on any external achievement or validation from others. Self-compassion also generates greater empathy. As we become more compassionate towards ourselves, we naturally extend that compassion to others, fostering deeper connections and understanding in our relationships. So, how do we become more self-compassion? It's really about incorporate a more mindful practice in your daily routine, so becoming more aware of your thoughts and your emotions. So, using mindfulness to observe your inner dialogue without judgment, allowing yourself to hold space and letting that awareness, the self compassion, arise. Just noticing what type of word that you're reaching for whenever you're making mistakes, or whenever reality looks different than what you hope it would. If I were to overhear that conversation that is going on in your head at that moment, would I like to be your friend? Or would I be afraid of you? We have two different types of pain. One is pain and one is suffering. Pain is a natural part of a human experience. Whenever we have a non-ideal situation, we experience pain. Suffering is an unnatural part, it's self-inflicted and therefore optional, and it comes whenever we are arguing with reality, when we say reality you should be different, when we don't accept the pain to be there. We often make ourselves wrong for not being where we want to be, not understanding that it's a never-ending journey, that we will always have things that we are currently not yet up to speed with, which is a good thing. This keeps the evolution alive, our constant request for more, and more is really the mantra of the universe. More is such a beautiful thing, but with that being said, it's crucial to have compassion with yourself not yet being up to speed with everything that you want, and learning how to be happy and satisfied in this moment while working towards whatever it is that you want. So can you meet yourself where you are, working with what you have instead of against it, finding what's right where you are instead of pointing out the flaws? And I know sometimes we feel like what we don't want is what's dominant in our vibration and therefore in our life experience. And all we can see is what's not going well. It's easy to continue beating that drum of it's not working, my life is not satisfying, my relationship is not where I want it to be, I don't like my job. And if that is the drum that you have been beating for a long period of time, the law of attraction simply do not let you radical switch from one moment to the next because you have momentum going. But you can gradually soften the beating of that drum and then start to activate new thoughts that feels better. First thing that you want to do is just creating awareness around where you stand. And here is where the mindful practice comes in, observing without judging. So just start wherever you are with some statements. For example, I don't like where I'm currently at. I don't know how to start to feel better. I really don't like my job. My manager is not making it any better. All those statements are filled with resistance. However, they create the awareness around where you stand in this moment. So have compassion, meeting yourself where you are, and then slowly try to raise your vibration. Not trying to make it happen by using effort, but instead allowing it to softly happen by focusing on releasing resistance. Reminding yourself that where you are, it's okay, it's a temporary place, and what you're aiming for here is a thought that gives a sense of relief. So not the best feeling thought that you have ever thought, but just a thought that gives you a sense of relief. For example, there are days at work that feels better. I remember when I first joined this team, I was very excited to be here. I know that it's possible to enjoy working. The reason why I'm feeling negative emotions indicates that my natural state is to feel good. My emotions are guidance to let me know that a change is needed. Even though I cannot change the situation in this red hot minute, I can change my attitude towards it and therefore how I feel. I like knowing that my thoughts creates my feeling. I like knowing that I can direct my thoughts. I like knowing that my guidance system is working. and that is currently signaling an opportunity to deliberately tuning myself into the direction that feels better. I understand now that the evidence that I'm looking for is not a change in circumstances, but an improved feeling. I know that how I feel is a precursor for what's coming next. And I like knowing that by feeling better and holding myself in that better feeling place, the physical manifestation will be the next thing that follow. I guess I've been making a bigger deal out of this than what it has to be. There's nothing serious going on here. I'm feeling better already. I'm excited to see what this new improved feeling will yield to me. And as you start to feel better, your body starts to relax, hence you get access to higher thinking, you become smarter, and from that place is where you can receive new ideas, new impulses in terms of how to move forward. And that's when you take inspired action instead of required action. So tuning in to the wisdom inside of you. And life by design is all about learning how to work with reality instead of the imaginary world, thinking that things should be different. Meeting yourself where you are without that story that something has gone wrong, because it's the story that creates the suffering. The storytelling in your head adds the suffering on top of the pain that you already are experiencing from not having an ideal life situation. So noticing how you show up whenever you believe the thought that something has gone wrong, that you're wrong for being where you are, that you are not enough to be who you are, noticing how that feels in your body as you're playing that movie in your head. And who would you be without that thought? Who would you be if you met reality and yourself where you are at in this moment without the drama from your brain? If you saw reality as a plain, naked truth. Allowing yourself to zoom out and go general and reminding yourself that there are more things than the things that are currently holding your attention. Just like there are things in your life that are not going well, there are always things in your life that are going well. So can you give them more airtime? Every single thing in life have two sides, wanted and unwanted. The question is always, which one holds your attention? And sometimes it's easier to focus on the unwanted side. Maybe that is what screams the loudest in your experience right now. But just know that even this moment have two sides, wanted and unwanted. So do your best to give equal airtime at least to the wanted side. You can say out loud, I know clearly what I don't want, which means that I also know what I want. What is it that I want? And then just contemplate that a little bit. Self-compassion is also self-kindness, treating yourself with the same kindness and care that you would offer a loved one. Replacing the self-criticism with words of encouragement and support. Talking yourself into believing what you want instead of talking yourself out of your own desires. Practicing becoming your own best friend. Just like you would speak words of support to a baby who's learning how to walk, and would encouraging the child every time it falls down to go up again. Can you use the same approach to yourself whenever you're learning something new? Can you see your mistakes as evidence that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and inviting the opportunity to grow and expand? Recognizing that you are not alone in your struggles. We all experience pain, setback, and imperfections. That's just part of life, and pain is a natural part of the human experience. Argue with the pain, however, thinking thoughts like, this shouldn't be like this should look different, adds suffering on top of the pain that you already are experiences. And I know social media tend to reinforce a belief that we are supposed to be flawless, we are supposed to be happy all the time, and if that is not the reality that we are living, something must be wrong. And instead of questioning our view of reality, we tend to think that what's happening is wrong. Meet yourself and reality where it's at, working with what you have and not against it. Pain is a natural part, a natural feeling, and it comes from living life and living a non-ideal situation. Suffering, however, is not. It's self-inflicted and therefore optional, and it comes from arguing with reality. Self-compassion is also practicing self-validation, validating your own feelings and experiences without seeking external validation. So trust in your inherited worthiness. And this is big, my friends. You're 100% worthy. Nothing you do, nothing you don't do affects your worthiness. We get this so messed up because our value on the job market depends on our skills and capabilities and what we have done in the past. And we believe that the same apply on our own worthiness as human beings. But your worthiness is a constant thing. You don't need to do anything to become worthy. You just are. So learning how to recognize yourself, acknowledging that you did a good job, and letting that be enough to feel satisfied instead of needing validation from someone or something external. Remember, if you're attached to the positive feedback, you will also be attached to the negative feedback. Last but not least, self-care. Prioritizing self-care, practicing to nurturing your mind, your body, and your spirit. Whether it is meditation, exercise, spending time in nature, making time for activities that replenishing your energy and promote self-compassion. And however this look is unique from person to person. So study yourself to find out which activities that feels nurturing and replenishing to you. Then do more of them. If you're interested in learning more about self-compassion, meeting yourself where you are without making yourself wrong for not being elsewhere, working with what you have instead of against it, go to lifebydesign.ch and schedule a consultation call with myself. Until next week, remember, you're perfectly imperfect, working with what you have, not against it, focusing on what's right, not what's wrong. 5. Self-compassion, my friends, let's lead with love and inspiration instead of fear and harsh words.